Namaste, I'm Ashok Vyas, and I'm so happy to be welcoming someone who has enriched our lives through all the multiple talents that she has. And as I look at all that she has done, she's an artist, choreographer, producer, director, accomplished Indian classical dancer, and she's one of the few who are trained in three distinct and different styles of dancing, that is Odissi, Bharatanatyam and Manipuri. There is so much about her that we will be sharing with you, but I don't want you to be staying away from Rimli Roy. Namaste Rimli, welcome.
Thank you so much, Ashok, for having me today.
So Rimli, I appreciate you coming, and I also want to mention you are founder of Surati for performing arts. You have created, produced, performed many original works. There has been so much impact by events that you conceptualized and offered to the community to mingle, to celebrate Indian culture and to have fun. So let us begin by a simple question. Where is your key source of having fun in life?
I think I grew up in a family of artists and musicians. I think there was a party that had a music and dancing featuring almost every other day at my house. There was music and food and culture overflowing all the time. It was always a lot of fun. I mean, I think even growing up, having parents who were fun and who could relate to, they were more like friends for us, for my brother and me. So I think that was where all the source of fun began at home. Often we would play games together, whether it's board games or doing music together or going out on vacations together. It was, I think all of that began at home, and then having a great group of friends and family who I grew up with back in Kolkata.
Yeah. So, Rimli, when we look at Indian classical dance forms, there is a lot of discipline involved, which requires, of course, being disciplined. So, when you look at the innovative approach towards creating something new out of what you have learned, I think you have given yourself that freedom to experiment and to explore where you can sort of create something new out of what is already existing. Am I right in interpreting the way I've seen your work?
Absolutely, you are very much right there. And actually, I didn't even realize I was doing that till people put it in words for me, because I think like learning set Indian classical forms has helped me a lot in learning the training and understanding the language of dance. Even though there's still a lot for me to learn, and I feel I'll always be a learner all my life. But exploring and going beyond the set conventional, forms of music and dance have been something that I've, constantly probably unconsciously explored. I mean, it's not that it was intentional that I wanted to think outside the box, but that is something that probably came naturally to me because I also came from, as I mentioned, like a family of musicians and artists who were constantly exploring or doing new things. And my father, for example, very renowned performer, musician, singer, Shumit Roy from Kolkata, who's also known as the Nat King Cole of Kolkata. Imagine me learning Indian classical dance and music while also learning Western classical piano and harmonium, and also having to learn. I mean, I used to play percussions with my father in his band and also sang with him Western music. So it was an amalgamation of different forms coming together in my house without like having to think about only Indian classical. Like if you're doing Indian classical means you only stick to that. It was never that. It was always exploring different forms and different, genres and different cultures for that matter. So, I think it came naturally to me to think about how we can use all of the forms that I've been exposed to create constantly new works or, go outside the set domain of, classical music or dance or folk music and dance or, Western music and dance.
Yeah. So I was saying Surati, but then Rimli, Rimli, you have touched over 25 US states and many around 10 countries with your work. People have been impacted, enjoyed, and enriched. Let us look at your journey from the point of view of the day you land to this new land of opportunities. Your cultural landscape around you changes. So it puts some additional pressure or challenge of sort to sustain the same sort of creative expression because you do not have that sort of a support system which you were taking for granted while being in India. So how was that particular phase initially while you were trying to, as we say, assimilate here?
I think that's an excellent question, and I think it's very, very important to address several people and acknowledge their presence in my life. One of them definitely is my husband, who actually he's also a musician, performer, singer, and a very, very good one. In fact, that's how we met. We met through music and dance. We were both performing with my father back in India in his band, and he was instrumental in setting up initially my website, helping me out with the organization I started, understanding, because when I first came here, honestly, I was in an IT company. I was working in Wall Street and all of that as an IT professional programmer, and I used to be performing dance and in the evenings and weekends I used to be touring and performing dance and choreographing, and I even had my father and my brother and my to-be sister-in-law, who's a very famous Bollywood playback singer. They all came over and her name is Pritha Majumdar. Mm-hmm. She's performed in a lot of blockbuster movies with Yash Raj Films and all of that. So they were all performing, and we used to tour at that time with our shows within the US. This is when I first moved here, like end of 99 to 2000. We were already touring and performing at various cultural programs around the US. And I think the initial part of getting all of that together, Surati hadn't even formed at that time, but it was a huge support system. My parents from India, they used to send me costumes and music, and because they were my brother and my father both are music composers. My mother's a lyricist and artist. In fact, Surati is named after my parents, Shumit and Arati.
Wow.
So initially they had a lot of support towards me, towards my organization and me, and myself as an artist to set up, and my husband to all of that put together. And then back in sometime in the early 2000s, I got to know about grants that were available in Hudson County, where I am based in Jersey City. So the Hudson County Office of Cultural and Heritage Affairs, headed by Bill LaRosa at that time, who became a mentor for me. Then I also have to mention Mr. Mono Sen, who's no longer, he is not amongst us anymore, but he was also a mentor for me at that time, guiding me through a lot of my initial phases, putting me in touch with people who could appreciate the culture and arts of India. It was several people, I think, who came together in my life as mentors, friends, and supporters, who probably helped me in that initial phase.
This is a very unique instrument and it's called an ektara.
किनारे चले गोपिया सारे सारे hey yo oh maji hey yo oh maji hey yo झटपट मारो टान के भैया झटपट मारो टान झटपट मारो टान के भैया झटपट मारो टान
The battle is about to begin.
মিলিয়ে যে যায় ওই দূর দিগন্তে
Yeah, let me look at a few aspects of your journey. One, performing is different. Then teaching is another dimension. So let us look at your if not transition, at least having both roles as a performer as well as teaching and guiding kids who may or may not have the same sensibility as you had coming from India, having been exposed to all that environment which was musical and interacting with the artistically oriented people. So the challenge and the sense of satisfaction in training here.
I mean, training students here, you mean? Okay, so I mean, I have loved my role as a teacher, but our model for Surati was never a dance school or a music school only. Primarily, I wanted to, establish Surati as a performing arts organization, of course, but also as an organization that would cater to anything regarding Indian culture. I can say that again if you want. So I mean, I would say that I never thought about establishing Surati as a dance or a music school. Though it says, we have Surati School of Performing Arts, but Surati was mainly formed as an organization which would be like an umbrella organization which is going to work on anything and everything to do with Indian culture, be it performing arts, literary arts, or visual arts, or all of that put together. Trying to bring together India's essence through culture and arts to a global audience. Basically, it is about globalizing Indian culture. So as a teacher, coming to your question, I would say that it has not only been that I've been teaching at our studio, in Jersey City or in other places. We've toured and traveled with our productions where we've had master classes and workshops. We have a very heavy arts and education program which is geared towards working with school, university students. We have master classes and workshops and professional development for teachers, which is a huge part of our teaching. So talking about me as an educator or a teacher, I would look at myself as somewhat of a global educator and teacher who's trying to work with a global group of students and audience, trying to educate them on Indian culture overall, not only with Indian classical dances or Indian music, but the entire experience of Indian culture.
Wow. So the term that is think big, that also applies to you in some way. And let me share some of the prestigious places where you showcased your talent, and the space was also an opportunity for the artist to perform. Was United Nations headquarters, then Washington DC at the Kennedy Center and the Library of Congress, and of course in New York City at the Lincoln Center, and at Incredible India's annual road show, the Ministry of Tourism, the World Financial Center, and the many names are there. Indeed, the Indian Consulate, the Export Promotion Council. Why I bring all these references here, I will also add the US Virgin Islands Reichhold Center in New Jersey at the Rutgers
The
University.
Reichhold Center.
So, and you went to Barbados also, Alaska Performing Arts Center. Now, bringing these references and your ability to build relations or have the kind of family environment with the cast of the Ramavan as well as of other productions, where kids or artists come with different backgrounds and different mindset. So let me hear your secret of the success in building the kind of bridges of communication which helps in making everyone at ease.
Okay, so I would say that yes, it's been a variety of things over the years. I think as a performer, as a director, as a producer, I think initially just wearing the hat of choreographer and dancer, like beginning the journey with that was the easiest for me, probably because creating anything new was something that came naturally to me, and creating works of choreography or theatrical pieces where we are telling stories from India. For example, like our three main shows, one is called Glimpses of India, which brings a variety of Indian dance and music on stage through scripted narration, and all of the narration is in English. And we bring to stage, say, maybe a boatman story, or urban scenes from urban India, scenes from rural India, including music and dance of India, right from Bollywood to all the way to Indian classical, all the entire spectrum of Indian dance and music, and music and dance from each significant to each state. As you know, each state in India is like a mini country in itself. So bringing those stories, and then going into Tewhar, which is the festivals of India, which is tracing the history of each festival and how it's relevant and its significance today, is another show that we've toured and traveled with quite a bit. And then I think over the years, most of our touring shows has been between Glimpses of India and Tewhar. And then most recently, it has been Ramavan, a musical, which is the off-Broadway production that we've been bringing to New York stages since 2022. And we're very blessed to be able to bring the story to a wider audience across, cultures, and tell the story from India, which is of our which is based on the beloved Ramayana.
Lots and lots of good wishes for you, and thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Ashok. Thank you very much.
Thanking this versatile, multi-talented Rimli Roy for joining us, and thanks to all of you for being with us. This is Ashok Vyas. Namaste.